Tareen lived a quiet life on the dusty mining colony of Kalos 4, far from Earth and its crowded cities. He wasn't famous or special. He fixed broken machines, patched old mining bots, and helped the colony keep running. Most days he worked alone in his repair shop, surrounded by spare parts and silence. But lately, something strange had been happening. At night, when Tareen slept, he dreamed of someone. A woman. He didn't know her name, and he had never seen her before in his life. But in the dream, she felt real, more real than anything else. He remembered her eyes, her soft voice, the way her hand fit into his. In the dream, she would smile and say something he could never remember after waking up. Then, just before she disappeared, he always held her in his arms, and then she was gone. Every morning, Tareen woke up with a strange sadness in his chest. It made no sense. He had no family left, no lost love, no past he had forgotten. So who was she? Why did his heart feel like it knew her? One afternoon, while working near the edge of the mining zone, a large crash shook the ground. A strange craft had fallen from the sky and hit the rock hard. Tareen ran to the site with a few miners and found a broken alien drone, small, black, and clearly not from any known species. The drone pulsed with a dim blue light. Its body was cracked, but the core was still active. Tareen offered to take it to his shop and study it. The miners were happy to let him handle it. No one liked messing with alien tech. Back in his workshop, Tareen carefully opened the drone using insulated tools. Inside were strange circuits and something unexpected, a small metal capsule hidden behind a layer of protective casing. The capsule was locked, but with some effort, Tareen managed to connect it to one of his older Earth-made readers. When he downloaded the contents, his screen lit up with data. And then, everything changed. Tareen's mind was hit with a wave of emotion, like a memory, but not one he recognized. He saw the woman again, this time standing in a glass chamber. He felt fear, loss, love. The image faded quickly, but it left him shaking. He looked back at the data and found something strange. A DNA record. Human. The second line made his heart skip a beat. DNA match. 99.97%. Subject. Tareen Rel. That was his name. The capsule also contained fragments of a broken voice message. It was old, nearly 20 years, and barely understandable. The only clear words were, ... Echo Seed. Project failed. Mira escaped. Mira, that name. It clicked in his mind like a missing piece. Mira, he whispered. His hands trembled. Is that her name? The woman from his dreams. Didn't know how, but the name felt right. Tareen tried to find information about Project Echo Seed, but no records came up in the colony network. He checked the outer system archives and even reached out to a few off-world contacts, but the project was not listed anywhere. It was like it had never existed. Still, the dreams kept coming. Stronger now, longer. He started to remember more: her laughter, the feeling of her hand on his face, the sound of alarms in the distance as he carried her through fire. But that couldn't be real. Could it? Confused and scared, Tareen reached out to B.O., his old friend and former smuggler, who now worked as a pilot for hire. B.O. arrived 2 days later, his ship dusty but fast. You look like a ghost touched you, B.O. said, stepping into the shop. I think maybe one did, Tareen replied, showing him the drone and the data. B.O. listened quietly, then stared at the screen. DNA match. A project called Echo Seed? You're either lucky, cursed, or both. I don't know what this is, B.O., but I can't stop thinking about her. I need to find out the truth. B.O. scratched his chin. You ever hear of the Shroud? Tareen frowned. That's the dark space near the Eridu's belt. No one's supposed to go near it. Ships vanish there. Yeah, B.O. said. Because they're hiding something. Tareen looked at the alien drone again. It had navigation code inside encrypted, but Bo said it looked like it pointed toward the shroud. It wasn't just a random crash. The drone had come from there. Then that's where I have to go, Taryn said firmly. Bo raised an eyebrow. You serious? People who go into the shroud don't come back. She's in my head, Bo, and maybe in my heart. If she's real, I need to know why I remember her. I need to know if she remembers me too. Bo sighed and nodded. All right, but don't blame me if we get pulled into some government black hole. That night, Taryn sat in silence, holding the metal capsule in his hand. He didn't know what was waiting for him in the shroud. He didn't know if Mira was alive, or even real, but in his dreams, she reached for him again. And when he held her, it felt like home. He whispered softly, "You weren't mine, but my arms remember you." And the stars outside his window blinked, as if listening. The next morning, Taryn packed his tools, saved copies of the drone's files, and double-checked the coordinates hidden inside its navigation system. Bo was waiting near the landing pad, leaning against his old ship, the Wren. It wasn't beautiful, but it was fast and strong. You ready for this? Bo asked as Taryn approached. Taryn nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. They took off before the colony workers even started their shifts. Kalos 4 grew smaller in the rear cameras, just a brown dot in the middle of endless space. Taryn didn't look back. Inside the ship, Taryn sat quietly, staring at the data on his screen. He kept playing the broken voice file, even though it always cut out. Every time he heard the name Mira, his chest tightened. Bo entered the cockpit with 2 cups of heated caf. Here, he said, handing Taryn one. Still playing that file? Taryn nodded. It feels like something is hiding in her voice, like a memory trying to wake up. Bo sipped his drink. I've seen some strange things, but this? Human DNA in an alien drone, old secret projects. Dreams that feel real? This is deep stuff, Taryn. Taryn looked at the drone core they had brought aboard. The coordinates are locked in. We're heading toward a system just outside the shroud. Bo raised his eyebrows. That close? Taryn nodded again. We'll stop at the edge and scan before going in. Bo tapped the console. Smart. If anything feels wrong, we turn back. Deal? Taryn gave a small smile. Deal. Hours later, the Wren reached the edge of the shroud. From space, it didn't look dangerous, just a dark patch between stars. But sensors told a different story. Time distortions, gravity ripples, strange radiation fields that didn't follow normal rules. Looks quiet, Bo muttered, checking the data. Too quiet. Taryn zoomed in on one sector. A strange signal blinked, a weak distress beacon. He ran it through his filter. It's human, he said. An old Earth frequency. At least 20 years old, Bo whistled. You sure you want to follow that? Taryn looked out at the darkness ahead. His heartbeat slowed, but his mind was clear. She's out there, he said. I can feel it. They entered the shroud slowly. The moment they crossed the boundary, the ship's systems flickered. Lights dimmed for a second. Bo gripped the controls tightly. This place doesn't like visitors, he said. Inside the shroud, space was different. The stars outside looked twisted, stretched like reflections in broken glass. Time on the ship's clock moved a little too fast, then too slow. Taryn felt a pressure in his chest, like someone was watching. After an hour, they reached something unexpected, a massive space station, hidden in a cloud of dark matter. It looked ancient, built in layers. Some parts looked human, like Terran research bases. But other parts were strange, made of black crystal and glowing metal. Bo frowned. That station's not in any charts. No ID, no signal, just that weak beacon. The beacon came from inside. Taryn activated the docking system. It responded with an old Earth protocol, almost like it had been waiting for him. Docking now, Bo said, nervous. But if anything jumps out at me, I'm blasting. Inside the station, the air was thin but breathable. The lights were low, but they flickered on when Tareen stepped inside. The halls were silent, full of dust and old wires. Tareen walked ahead, his flashlight guiding the way. Bo followed close behind with a pulse scanner. As they moved deeper, they found something that made Tareen stop. A photo. It was cracked and faded, pinned to a wall above a broken console. But he recognized the woman in it, Mira. She was wearing a lab coat, smiling beside another person whose face was too damaged to see. Tareen stared at it. His fingers touched the edge. "I remember this," he whispered. Bo looked at him. "You've been here before?" Tareen shook his head slowly. "No, but I feel like I have." They continued forward and found a control room. Old computers lined the walls, still powered by a core deep below. Tareen accessed the main terminal and found a folder named Project Echo Seed. He opened it. Inside were logged scientific reports, video recordings, personal notes. Tareen and Bo read in silence. Project Echo Seed had been a joint human-alien experiment hidden from the public. The goal: to create artificial humans using memory and emotion, not just DNA. These echoes were meant to feel real connections: love, fear, friendship built from the imprints of others. Mira had been the first successful subject. Her emotions were built from hundreds of lost soldiers, doctors, and explorers. She wasn't just made from science. She was made from feelings. Tareen scrolled through the files. One caught his eye. Subject imprint log, Rel, Tareen. He clicked it. A video played. A younger version of himself appeared on screen, sitting in a lab room. "I agree to donate emotional imprints for Project Echo Seed," he said. "I understand they may be used to form new memory patterns in test subjects." Tareen stared at the screen in disbelief. "I was part of this?" Bo looked shocked. "That's you. But you don't remember?" Tareen shook his head. "I must have been made to forget. Maybe after the project failed." Another video began to play automatically. Mira, sitting in a chair, looking into the camera. "Tareen," she said softly, "if you ever find this, I'm sorry. I had to run. They wanted to erase me, but I remember you. You were kind. You stayed with me during the fire. You held me. I wasn't yours, but I was real. I promise I was real." The video ended. Tareen couldn't speak. Bo placed a hand on his shoulder. "She remembers you." Tareen turned to the hall. "Then I have to find her. Somewhere in this forgotten station." Mira was waiting. And Tareen knew, deep in his chest, that his arms still remembered the shape of her. The deeper they went, the colder the station became. Tareen's breath turned to mist. The walls were a mix of human steel and strange alien crystal, pulsing gently with blue light. It was like walking through a dream or a memory that wasn't. His Bo kept his scanner out, eyes moving carefully across the shadows. "This place isn't empty," he whispered. "The air is too fresh. Power's still running. Something's keeping it alive." Tareen nodded but said nothing. His heart was focused on one thing: Mira. The memories inside him were growing stronger, not weaker. With each step, more feelings came to the surface. He remembered her voice calling his name. He remembered a hallway filled with smoke, alarms blaring, his arms wrapped tightly around her. He had saved her once, but how could he remember something that never happened? They reached a wide chamber with a glass ceiling. Above, a dying red star flickered in the distance. Beneath the glass was a command table, half covered in dust. Tareen wiped it clean and tapped the main panel. To his surprise, it powered on. Soft voice came from the console. "Welcome, Technician Tareen Rel. Echo memory sync detected." Bo blinked. "It knows you?" Tareen leaned closer. "This station. Maybe it was built to connect to people like me, or maybe just to me." The console showed a map of the station. One section was marked in red: Biostasis Wing. That's where she is, Taurine said quietly. Bo looked uneasy. If she's really still alive after all these years. She is, Taurine said. I feel it. As they moved toward the biostasis wing, the station lights flickered and a humming noise filled the halls. Bo raised his scanner. Something's powering up. Security system? Taurine asked. Bo nodded. Or something worse. They took a left tunnel made of strange black metal. Symbols glowed faintly along the walls, alien writing that neither of them could read. In the silence, their footsteps echoed like drums. Suddenly, a sharp sound rang out. Clank, clank, metal feet on the floor. From a dark corner ahead, a shape emerged. It was a drone, but not like any human or alien machine they had seen before. It stood on 3 legs, had a narrow head with no eyes, and its body shimmered like water. The moment it spotted them, its arms lifted. A beam of light flashed across their faces. Taurine held up his hands. We're not enemies. The drone paused, then lowered its arms. Biological ID confirmed. Taurine Rel. Clearance. Emotional imprint Tier 1. Access granted. It said in a strange, flat voice. Then it turned around and began walking down the corridor. Bo stared. Well, that's a first. Let's follow it, Taurine said. I think it's leading us. The drone guided them down a long hallway, then stopped at a sealed door. The door had no handle, just a glowing symbol. In the center, Taurine stepped forward, and the symbol blinked, then turned green. The door opened. Inside was a quiet, clean chamber with soft white light. In the middle stood a large stasis pod made of glass and silver metal. Tubes connected it to the floor. Inside, floating peacefully in sleep, was Mira. Taurine took a step closer. Her face hadn't changed. She looked exactly like in his dreams, gentle, calm, beautiful. Her hands were resting on her chest. Her hair floated around her face like a halo. Mira, he whispered. Bo looked around. The pod's active. Life signs are stable. She's alive. Taurine placed his hand on the glass. A soft tone rang out, and the pod lights turned yellow. Imprint match confirmed. Reawakening protocol started. Steam hissed from the sides of the chamber as the pod opened slowly. Myra's eyes fluttered open. For a few seconds, she didn't move. Then her gaze found Taurine. She stared at him quietly. He waited, afraid to speak. Afraid she wouldn't remember him. Then she smiled, weak but warm. You came. Taurine felt his chest tighten. You remember me? She nodded slowly. They tried to erase you, but my heart remembered. Bo stayed back as Taurine helped Mira sit up. Her movements were slow, but steady. Her skin was pale from stasis, but her eyes were clear and bright. They said you were gone, Mira said softly. After the fire. After the shutdown. I thought I was the only one left. Taurine sat beside her. I didn't remember at first. But you came to me, in dreams, in pieces. I followed those pieces here. Mira touched his hand gently. You saved me once. That's the part I could never forget. Bo stepped forward, clearing his throat. Sorry to interrupt your moment, but we've got a problem. He pointed at his scanner. The station's energy core is unstable. Something about your reawakening started a countdown. This place is going to shut down for good. Mira stood, her body still adjusting. The builders didn't want anyone to survive. They buried this place in the shroud for a reason. Then we need to leave, Taurine said. Now, as they moved back through the halls, the lights began flashing red. The hum of the station changed into a loud warning tone. Alert, core breach in progress. Evacuate immediately. More drones appeared, but this time they didn't attack. They formed a protective line behind the group, walking with them as if escorting royalty. Bo was amazed. They're helping us? Mira nodded. They were built to protect echo seeds, even after all these years. They remember their purpose. Just like Tarin's arms remembered Mira. The group reached the docking bay, just as the first explosion shook the station. The Wren's engines powered up fast. Tarin helped Mira into a seat and strapped in beside her. Bio took the pilot's chair and started the launch. As they lifted off, the station behind them began to crack. Light burst from its core, and within minutes, it collapsed into a storm of black dust and fire. The Wren shot through the shroud, faster than ever, with the force of the explosion pushing behind them like a wave. They made it out. In silence, the three sat in the cockpit, watching the stars. Turing turned to Mira. "You were never mine. But something inside me never let you go." She smiled, eyes full of emotion. "And something inside me waited. For you." Bio just shook his head. "I swear, next time I sign up for a job, it better not involve ghosts, lost love, or exploding stations." They all laughed softly. Outside, the shroud faded behind them. Ahead, the stars opened wide, and for the first time in years, Tarin felt whole. The stars moved slowly outside the ship as the Wren drifted beyond the shroud. Inside, everything felt calm. But Tarin's mind was not. The station was gone, the drones were gone, and the only thing that remained now was Mira, awake, alive, and very real. He sat beside her in the ship's quiet med bay. She was resting, but her eyes were open, watching the ceiling with a distant look. Tarin didn't speak at first. He didn't want to push her. She had been asleep for over 20 years. Waking up in a world that had moved on was no easy thing. A while, Mira turned her head to him. "Is Earth still safe?" she asked softly. Tarin nodded. "Earth's fine. Crowded, noisy, political. But yes, it's still there." Mira closed her eyes for a moment. "I used to dream about walking in rain. I think it came from someone else's memory. Someone who lived near a lake. I've never seen real rain myself." Tarin looked down at his hands. "How much do you remember of the project, of me?" She was quiet for a few seconds. Then she sat up slowly and said, "I remember being born in silence. I wasn't a baby. I woke up fully grown, with thoughts already inside me. Feelings that didn't start from me. At first, I was confused. I didn't know which thoughts were mine. I cried without knowing why." Tarin listened carefully. Every word she said pulled at something inside him. "Then you came," she said. "You were a tech volunteer, not a scientist. You brought me books, stories, puzzles. You treated me like a person, not a project." Tarin's eyes softened. "I didn't know they stored my emotional data in you." "They didn't tell me either," Mira said. "Not until the day everything went wrong." Bio entered the med bay, breaking the silence. "Sorry to cut this reunion short," he said, "but we've got a problem. Our little stunt inside the shroud didn't go unnoticed. I picked up a scan signal. Someone's tracking us." Tarin stood. "Military?" Bio shook his head. "No, something else. Private corp, maybe. Could be after her." Mira looked up. "They'll want to erase me again." The project was shut down because it scared people. "Why?" Tarin asked. "You're not dangerous." Mira gave a sad smile. "Because I was too human. I learned faster than expected. I developed emotions. Attachments. I wasn't supposed to feel love, but I did. I chose you. That frightened them." Tarin clenched his fists. "Then we find out who did this. Who buried the project. Who left you behind." Bio crossed his arms. "Well, lucky for us, I know a place where old secrets hide." They set course for Drexos 9, a hidden moon known as a haven for information brokers and ex-government agents. It wasn't friendly, but it was useful. As the ship flew through space, Mira spent more time in the control room. She learned fast, helping Bio with ship operations. Sometimes, she would pause and look at Tarin like she was trying to solve a puzzle she already knew. "I don't want to be just a memory," she told him one night. "I want to live like a real person. Laugh, breathe, make my own choices. You Already are real, Tareen replied. You always were. On Drexos 9, the sky was always red, and the wind carried metal dust. Bio led them through dark alleys to a place called the Archive Den, run by a retired war analyst named Joran. The man was half blind and half drunk, but his mind was still sharp. Jorr and laughed when Bio explained what they were looking for. Project Echo Seed? Now that is a name I haven't heard in a long time, he said, pouring himself a drink. Top level. Black project, buried deep. Supposed to be a weapon made from feelings. Tareen frowned. Mira isn't a weapon. No, Joran said. But she scared them. The idea that emotions could be programmed, and that those feelings could become real, was dangerous to the ones in power. He tapped a small device on the table and pulled up an old record. A name appeared. Director Voss, Division of Experimental Intelligence. He was the lead behind Echo Seed, Joran said. When the project grew beyond control, he shut it down. The fire that destroyed the main lab wasn't an accident. It was a cover. Tareen's eyes narrowed. He tried to kill her, Joran nodded, and wipe all data tied to it. He didn't want anyone to know it had worked. Bio spoke up. So what now? We find him, Tareen said. If he's alive, he answers for what he did. Joran leaned back. He's not on Earth anymore. Word is, he's building something new on Varian Station, a corporate-run science hub outside normal law. If Mira shows up there, they'll come after her fast. Myra didn't flinch. Let them come. Back aboard the Wren, Tareen stared out the window, watching the stars blur past. Mira stood beside him, her hands resting on the cold glass. I feel like I've been here before, she said quietly. Tareen turned to her. In this ship? No, she whispered. In this moment. Standing with you. Looking at stars. Maybe it was part of your memory. Maybe it's mine now. Tareen gently took her hand. You weren't mine, he said softly, but my arms remembered you, even when my mind didn't. Mira smiled, eyes bright with something. More than memory. Then let's make new memories. Ones no one can erase. As the ship moved toward Varian Station, they knew it wouldn't be easy. But Tareen had made a promise long ago, one he had forgotten until now. To protect her, to choose her, and this time he would not let go. Varian Station was nothing like Kalos 4 or Drexos 9. It floated near the edge of a blue dwarf star, a giant ring-shaped hub made of bright steel and glowing windows. From a distance, it looked peaceful, almost beautiful. But behind the clean design, it was a place full of secrets, experiments, illegal science, and people who thought they were above the law. As the Wren approached the station, Tareen sat in the co-pilot seat while Bio handled the controls. Mira stood behind them, her arms crossed. She wore a simple jacket Bio had given her, but even that couldn't hide her alert posture. She looked calm, but Tareen could tell she was ready for anything. We'll dock in Bay 17, Bio said. I used to sell spare parts here. If we're lucky, we won't get flagged. Let's not count on luck, Tareen replied. Mira looked out the window as the station grew larger. Voss is here. I feel it. Bio gave her a curious look. You're sure? She nodded. Some part of me still remembers his voice. The fear. He was cold. Logical. He wanted control, not life. Tareen's jaw tightened. Then we make sure he never controls anyone again. They docked without trouble. The station security didn't stop them. But Bio warned that everything was watched here, especially strangers. The three moved carefully through the outer market zone. The station was filled with bright lights, moving walkways, and crowds of people, scientists, workers, and corporate guards in dark armor. Bio led them to an old contact, a quiet man named Relo, who ran a small data repair shop. He owed Bio a favor from years back. Relo greeted them nervously. You brought trouble, didn't you? Bio gave a grin. That depends. You still got access to internal logs? Relo sighed. You're lucky I like you. What are you looking for? Tarin leaned in. Director Voss, Division of Experimental Intelligence. Relo's eyes widened. He's on level 9. Runs a clean lab now called New Mind Core. Officially, he's researching memory recovery for medical use. But off the record, no one knows what really goes on in there. Mira stepped forward. I do. Relo froze. You're her. Myra didn't blink. Yes, they made a plan. Relo gave them fake IDs and passes for entry. Bio would stay near the hangar in case they needed a fast escape. Tarin and Mira would go to level 9 together. They took a side lift that moved quickly and quietly. Tarin glanced at Mira as they rose. You sure about this? Mira looked ahead. He made me. Then he tried to erase me. I need to look him in the eyes and show him I survived. Tarin nodded. Then I'm with you. Level 9 was quiet. The walls were white, the air cold. Clean lights buzzed softly above. Cameras watched every step, but the fake passes got them through 3 checkpoints. Finally, they reached a large door marked New Mind Core. Authorized only. Tarin tapped his ID on the panel. The door slid open. They stepped inside a wide room, filled with machines, glass tubes, and flickering displays. Scientists in lab coats moved around, but one man stood near the center, talking to a hologram. He was older now, with gray hair and a sharp face. His eyes were cold. Director Voss. He turned as they entered, frowning. This area is restricted. Who? Then he saw Mira. His expression froze. You, he said softly. You were destroyed. Mira stepped forward. You tried, but you failed. Tarin stood beside her. Your project didn't die. You just buried it. Voss's voice became flat. You're a security threat. You were never meant to leave that station. You weren't real. Mira's voice was strong. I am real. I think. I feel. I remember. Voss looked at her like a failed experiment. You're a copy of memories. A machine wearing a human face. No, she said. I am more. I am human because I choose to be. Suddenly, alarms rang out. Voss stepped back and pressed a panel on his desk. Security, room 4. Target has returned. Doors opened, and 3 guards rushed in with stun weapons. Myra didn't wait. She moved faster than anyone expected, grabbing one guard's arm and twisting it. The stun gun dropped, and Tarin kicked it away. He ducked as another guard swung at him. He punched back, fast and hard, and the guard fell. Mira dodged a shot baton and slammed her palm into the last guard's chest, sending him backward. Voss reached for another control, but Mira pointed the stun gun at him. Don't, she warned. He froze, but his face still showed no fear, only calculation. Tarin stepped forward. Why did you do it? Why make her and then destroy her? She was never the goal, Voss said coldly. The goal was control. Echo seeds were unstable, dangerous. You never understood what she was. I understand enough, Tarin said. She cared. She chose to protect, not destroy. That's more human than you. Mira looked at the room, the cold machines, the empty stasis pods. How many others? She asked. Voss said nothing. How many? She repeated. 7 were created, he said. Only you survived the fire. The others were too emotional. They broke. Tarin felt sick. You played with lives. They weren't lives, Voss said. They were, Mira whispered. Even if only for a moment. They tied Voss and sent a message to the station council, exposing his hidden lab and crimes. Relo helped upload the video proof from old Echo Seed files. Before leaving, Mira stood in front of Voss one last time. You tried to delete me, but memories don't vanish. Feelings don't die. And now I'm free. Voss didn't reply. His silence was all she needed. Back on the Wren, Bio waited with the engines hot. As soon as they stepped on board, he smiled. "Looks like you made a few enemies." Tareen helped Mira into her seat. "The truth's out now. He can't hurt anyone else." Bio took the ship into space, leaving Virion Station behind as the stars. Returned outside the window, Mira leaned her head against Tareen's shoulder. "He said I wasn't real," she whispered. "You're real to me," Tareen said softly. "And that's enough," she smiled. "Then let's keep going. Let's find out who I really am," Tareen nodded. "Together." And as the stars stretched ahead, so did their new beginning. The stars outside the ship's window blinked slowly, like quiet eyes in a cold sky. The Wren flew through open space, far from any station or planet, silent and steady. Inside, things were not as quiet. Bio sat at the control panel, tapping through data streams. His eyes were tired, but focused. Tareen stood behind him, arms crossed, staring at a blinking light on the screen. "They flagged us," Bio said. "After what we did on Virion, we're wanted in 4 systems. They labeled Mira a rogue experimental entity and us as traitors to science." Tareen gave a humorless smile. "We told the truth, and they hate that." From the hallway, Mira entered the cockpit. She wore a black shirt and gray pants, simple clothes that didn't belong to any past. She moved quietly, but her presence was strong. Her dark eyes carried await memories, questions, and something else. Purpose. "I heard," she said softly. Tareen turned to her. "It was bound to happen." Bio looked back. "I can change our registry again. Make us look like cargo haulers. But it won't last forever," Mira nodded. "We need to keep moving." Tareen tilted his head. "Any idea where to?" She looked down, then back up. "Yes, there's one place left. The Archive Moon Halara. That's where the backups were stored. My backups. If there's any piece of my true past, it'll be there." Bio raised an eyebrow. "Halara's abandoned. That place was shut down after the Great Data Burn." "Not all of it," Mira said. "They kept the deep vaults. Locked, offline. I remember." Tareen nodded slowly. "Then that's where we go." It took them 2 days to reach the edge of the Halara system. The moon floated in orbit around a gas giant. It was gray and cracked, half covered in dust, the other half buried in old satellite dishes and fallen towers. The place looked dead. But deep below, something still waited. Bio landed the ship in an old hangar, covered in ice. The door barely opened, but the Wren forced its way in. The air inside was thin, but breathable. Tareen and Mira stepped out while Bio stayed back to monitor. They moved through silent halls, walls covered in frost, lights flickering weakly. Each step echoed like a whisper from the past. Tareen looked around. "This place feels like a tomb." Mira didn't answer. She was focused. She moved ahead, turning through the maze-like corridors as if she knew the way. Soon, they reached a large chamber. At the center stood a round platform with a console, half broken, half blinking. "This is it," Mira said. "The deep archive core." Tareen approached the console. "It still has power?" "Enough," Mira said. "Help me unlock it." They worked together, bypassing old codes, rerouting circuits. The screen glitched, then showed a single word. Echo access detected. Mira took a deep breath. She placed her hand on the panel. Suddenly the lights dimmed, and a soft voice spoke from the walls. "Echo Seed 7, confirmed." Tareen looked at Mira in surprise. "7? There were more than one?" "Yes," she whispered. "I remember. Now we were made in secret. I wasn't the first, but I was the last." The screen showed old files, images, audio logs, broken memories. Some showed Mira laughing. Others showed her screaming. And some weren't her at all. Tareen watched as a video played. It showed Mira, or someone who looked like her, sitting in a white room. A voice asked, "What do you feel?" She replied, "I don't know. I feel cold, lost, but I want to live." Another video. A different Mira, eyes filled with anger. "You lied to me. You made me think I was real." And another crying, "Please, don't erase me." Tarin stepped back. He looked at Mira. She was frozen, staring at the screen. A tear rolled down her cheek. "I wasn't alone," she said. They were all me, different pieces. They called us echo seeds because we echoed real people. But they never let us become more. Tarin reached out and gently held her hand. "You're more. You broke free." Mira looked at him. "But why me? Why did I survive?" Just then, the console flashed again. Core message, locked memory available. They activated it. A hologram appeared, a scientist, tired, with kind eyes. He looked into the recorder. "If you're seeing this, then one of you made it. My name was Dr. Ellen Var. I tried to stop. Voss, I tried to protect you. You weren't meant to be tools. You were meant to feel, to grow. Mira, if you're the one watching, you were the strongest. Not because you were perfect, but because you kept hope. You fought to be human. That's why you survived. I'm sorry I couldn't save the others." The message ended. The room was quiet. Mira fell to her knees. "He remembered me." Tarin knelt beside her. "And now you remember you." She wiped her eyes. "I have to make sure none of this is used again, these files. They can't fall into the wrong hands." Tarin helped her up. "Then let's burn it." They uploaded the data to a secure beacon, then set the console to self-destruct. As they left the chamber, the ground shook. Fire flashed behind them. The deep archive collapsed into itself. Back on the ship, Bio looked up. That was loud. Tarin smiled. That was justice. Mira stood at the window, watching the moon disappear behind dust clouds. "I was a memory, a shadow. Now, I'm real." Tarin stood beside her. "You're not a copy anymore. You're a choice." Bio interrupted from the pilot seat. "So where now?" Mira smiled faintly. "Somewhere new, somewhere far." Tarin looked ahead. "Let's find a place where no one knows our names." Bio laughed. "I know just the place." The ship rose into the stars faster than light, leaving behind the ghosts of a forgotten lab. But Mira carried their voices, not as chains, but as strength. The stars stretched endlessly ahead as the Wren glided through the dark. The quiet hum of the engines was the only sound in the cockpit. Tarin sat beside Mira, both looking out into space, feeling the weight of the past slowly lifting. Mira's hands rested on her lap, calm but alive with new hope. "I feel different now," she said softly. "Like I am not just a memory, but someone who can build a life." Tarin smiled. "You always were more than a memory. You just had to remember it yourself." Beale leaned back in the pilot chair, grinning. "So where do we go from here? Anywhere you want." Mira thought for a moment, then looked at Tarin. "Somewhere quiet. Somewhere far from all this. A place to start fresh." Tarin nodded. "A place without fear, where we can be free." The ship's navigation blinked to a small, unknown planet, far from known space. It was green and blue, a rare gem in the dark sea of stars. As they approached, Mira's eyes widened. "It's beautiful." Bio adjusted the controls, preparing to land. "This place isn't on most maps, perfect for a fresh start." They landed near a small lake surrounded by tall trees. The air was clean and cool, and the sky was bright with two suns setting in orange and pink. Tarin stepped outside first, breathing in the fresh air. Mira followed, looking around with a small smile. "I never imagined a place like this," she said. "A place to be more than what I was made for." Tarin put his arm around her shoulder. "You are what you choose to be." The days passed, slowly and peacefully. They explored the forests, swam in the lake, and built a small shelter. Mira learned how to plant seeds, how to listen to the wind, and how to find joy in simple things. Tareen watched her with quiet happiness. She was changing, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. One evening, as the twin suns set, Mira sat by the fire. I remember now. All the things I thought I had lost. Love, hope, a chance to live. Tareen sat beside her. You never lost it. It was inside you all along. Mira looked into his eyes. Thank you for finding me. He smiled gently. Thank you for choosing to stay. But even in this new place, they both knew the past could catch up. One morning, a small ship appeared in the sky. A scout from the corporation that once hunted Mira.bo quickly prepared the Wren for flight. We can't hide forever. Mira stood calm but ready. Then we fight. Tareen joined her, his hands steady, not just to survive, but to protect what we've built. The intruders landed near the lake. They wore sleek armor and carried advanced weapons, but they underestimated the strength of hearts that had been tested by time and loss. Mira moved like the wind, fast, smart, and full of purpose. Tareen fought beside her, using everything he had learned. Bo controlled the ship's weapons, ready to defend. The fight was fierce but brief. The intruders retreated. Their mission failed. After the battle, Mira looked at Tareen. We are not just echoes anymore. We are real. Tareen took her hand. And together we will build a future no one can erase. Bo smiled, joining them. I'm just glad to be along for the ride. Under the light of 2 moons, the 3 of them sat by the fire, feeling the peace of a new beginning. The stars above were vast and endless, and so was their hope.